Hi, I'm Saverio from HoRNet Plugins. Today I'm about to show you one of our favorite plugin. It's the HA2A. It's an emulation of a very famous vintage compressor that has been designed in the 50s, and it's one of the first compressors of history. It is a very peculiar piece of software, piece of hardware, sorry, because it uses an optocouple as the gain reduction element. That means that there is a panel that emits light and a photoresistor that changes its resistance when the light changes in intensity. And this in turn decreases or increases the input level of an output tube amplifier, because this is a tube gear. And this movement is very peculiar. You cannot change attack and release because they are constant, and they are properties of the electroluminescent panel and the OPTO resistor. And so of course it takes a little bit of time for the panel to light up, and of course it takes a little bit of time to the resistor to change, to react to this light change, and this creates the attack phase. And it's not always constant, because it depends on the status of the resistor and the light source, because of course to go from 0 to something it takes longer than going from say half attack to full attack, because it's shorter time, because the resistor has already been excited, and the same goes for the panel. So the same is exactly the same for the release, where the first part of the release is quite fast, while you have a second stage that takes much longer to reach the 0 because of the parasite luminescence of the panel and the slowness of the resistor to become to an excited state. So this gives the peculiar kind of compression of this compressor, and it's very desired because it's very transparent and very natural. And this hardware has been used since the beginning of the recording in almost every record. So it's part of the recording itself. And we modeled a real unit, so this is not something, we can call it a direct clone of a hardware piece, because we took that real unit, we measured it. We measured the attack and release, we measured the compression behavior at different frequencies, so we measured everything. And we designed a software emulation that is a perfect copy of that hardware. And we also decided that was not enough, of course, and we added a lot of modern tools to make this kind of compressor work well in the 21st century. So we added, of course, external input and output meters. We added the auto gain. We added the ability to link input and output gain, so that if you increase the input gain, the output gain gets reduced accordingly, so you have constant gain monitoring. We have the auto makeup gain compensation, so compressing the signal reduces its overall level. There is an automatic system that increases back this gain, so you can always have a constant listening and experience. We also have the output compensation gain for the output gain, because since the output gain stage is a tube stage, it tends to distort a lot when you increase the gain. And this is something that may be cool, a cool effect used on its own. So we added a compensation switch, so that if you increase the output gain, you actually get no gain, output gain increase, output volume increase. The volume stays constant. You only get more distortion from the unit. So we also added, of course, the ability to turn off and on the analog input, the analog, emulation and hiss. And we have the compressor that can work in stereo, dual mono, mid or side mode. So we added a lot of things, also dry, wet, separate levels, so you can do parallel compression And we also have a nice thing that is called control track. You can control from one interface of the compressor all the other instances of the compressor. So if you have many instances on your session, you don't have to hunt for the track, click on the plugin, open the guy. Just have one guy open, and from the drop down, choose the track you want to change the setting on. So no more talking. I will show you the interface of the plugin and then make you have a listen to how it sounds. So this is the interface. It replicates almost one-to-one the hardware. We left out the input and output switch for the meter because we provided two separate meters. They are view meters, so they work like vintage units. Of course, you have load and save parameters, limit and compress switch. It changes the behavior of the compressor. When you select compress, you are actually having a feedback compressor. If you select limit, you have half feed forward, half feedback, and the compression action is more aggressive, just a little bit more aggressive though. Then we have the compensation switch for the output gain, the auto makeup for the gain reduction, and we have of course analog and his switches, dry and wet levels. Control track, we have just one track right now, but if I add a new track and add HA2A to that, I can see that I have two tracks now, and I can choose this one is the one I'm on right now, but if I click on the other, I can modify the settings of the other compressor, as you can see. So it's pretty handy in my opinion. And then we have the mode, so you can choose between stereo, dual mono, mid and side. You of course know what mid and side mode are. Dual mono means that if you have a stereo signal, the detector of the compressor is unlinked, so it's like having two compressors in parallel without linking the sidechain. So if you have you can have more reduction in one channel than in the other. This tends to open more the stereo image, and of course it can move it left or right if you have a too drastic difference between left and right channels. So this is up to you. This is the peak reduction knob, increases the compression amount. Then we also have these nice switches like the auto peak reduction with its own target and the auto gain for the input. So I'm gonna to let you hear how it sounds with a song that you may probably know, this is how it's in bypass mode. Of course, I'm gonna put my headphones on.
I don't think you trust in my self-righteous suicide. I cry when angels deserve to die. My
So you already hear that it's adding some harmonics because of the tube circuits. Of course, we have the input transformer, the gain reduction stage, and the output amplifier and the output transformer. We have three different points of saturation and harmonics generation in this plugin that has auto oversampling. So if you are running at anything below 192 kilohertz, we are going to oversample automatically the signal so that we have at least 192 kilohertz of bandwidth. Of course, if you have session running at sample rate higher than that, we are gonna simply use the higher sample rate. So you're gonna always have a minimum quality guaranteed from the plug for the auto processing of the plugin to reduce the aliasing. To show you how quick he is to dial sound with this compressor, I'm just gonna use a preset, and I'm gonna use the All Auto Vocal Slam. What this preset does is to turn on the auto peak reduction and set a target to negative 10 dB of gain reduction. Then we have a 2 VU target in the auto gain input, and of course the auto gain is turned on. Link input and output so that when auto gain increases the input, the output is equally decreased and you get constant gain. So let's just press play and let the compressor adjust everything for you.
I don't think you trust in my self-righteous suicide. I cry when angels deserve to die. My self-righteous suicide. I cry when angels deserve to die.
So here we are. As you can see, the compressor set the right input gain to have 2.0 VU as a maximum input level. It also set the peak reduction knob to the right level to have negative 10 dB of gain reduction. So this is already made. The compressor already made the right sound for you. So you don't have to do anything else, unless you want to get more grit, for example, from the output amplifier. So what I'm going to do is to use the compensation switch here to increase the output gain to get more distortion without getting more volume.
I don't think you trust in my self-righteous suicide. I cry when angels deserve to die. My self-righteous suicide. I cry when angels deserve to die. I don't think you trust in.
So in my opinion, this is a lovely vocal sound. If I want to dial back a little bit more of the dry signal, just use the dry knob here.
I don't think you trust in my self-righteous suicide. I cry when angels deserve to die.
Okay, this is even more natural, but if I turn the compensation off, we get a high increase in gain.
I don't think you.
Okay, so the compensation is very useful to get the right distortion. Also, the auto makeup, if I turn it off, we get a decrease in gain.
I don't think you trust in.
Because this compensates for the difference in gain due to the gain reduction. And if I turn on limit, I get a slightly different compression behavior.
I don't think you trust in my self-righteous suicide. I cry when angels deserve to die. My.
Maybe in this case, it's even better set to limit. There's nothing more to say about the plugin. We have the bypass, of course, and you can save your own presets, and we have provided a lot of useful presets. Every preset is set with the auto mode already engaged, so you just have to select the preset, press play, and let the compressor do its magic. And that's it. If I, for example, I was editing another track in my DAW, and I figure out that I need to change the sound of the first track, what should I do? I need to close this one and get to the other track and open? No, just from the drop down, choose the other track, and the compressor sets itself to the other track and shows the levels of the other track. And if I go back to my own track, I see everything is not moving because we don't have any signal over here. But if I choose the other track, I simply can edit another compressor, another instance from the same loop. So this was the HoRNet HA2A compressor, and it's available right now on our website. www.hornetplugins.com. You can go there and try out the demo, and so you can judge for yourself if this compressor is good or not, and I bet you think it's good. And of course, we offer a 100% money-back guarantee within 15 days of purchase. So if you don't like it, just request your money back. So thank you very much for watching.